how we were safe. We weren't safe. That was the greatest attack in the history of the United States, worse than Pearl Harbor because it was individuals. We were attacked as individuals as opposed to the military. The greatest single attack. So when he's saying, and I'm standing up there, I'm saying, do I want to embarrass him by saying this? But because I'm a nice person, I didn't do it. But then when he used it another time, I had to say, I'm sorry, but we weren't safe. The World Trade Center came down, which was the greatest attack in history on this country. So you had that. You obviously had the war, which was a big mistake. I mean, I think few people would say the war in Iraq was a positive. You had him on the aircraft carrier saying all sorts of wonderful things, how the war was essentially over. Guess what? Not over. And, you know, the war with Iraq is a disaster. Now Iran is taking over Iraq, as sure as you're sitting there. They're taking the oil. They're taking everything. I said take the oil. I was against the war in Iraq, by the way. I was the only one on the stage. Believe me, you should get some points for vision. But I was totally against the war in Iraq. I said it's going to destabilize the Middle East. And then when they went in, I said, when they're getting out, take the oil. They didn't take the oil. So now Iran is going to have the oil, and ISIS has the oil. And ISIS, this has fueled ISIS, because ISIS now has so much money because they've had the oil. So, yes, go ahead.
Today you attacked Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. You've repeatedly said that you're a uniter. What do you say to
Well, it is a political campaign. No. It is a political campaign. I mean, am I allowed to attack? I get attacked. They're attacking me all the time. No, I'm not. Did I attack Marco? For what? Joking? For being a joke artist? Where did I attack him? For being a joke artist.
Sure.
And we can't have that as a president, can we? Okay. I don't think I attacked Marco. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, thanks. Yeah, well, he's printed lies. He said I'm pro-choice and I'm pro-life. He's printed lies. I mean, they're so, not only printed, I mean, I think he's taken out. Look, what he did with Ben Carson was terrible. I've never seen anything like that. It was a total lie. And by the way, 10 minutes after the election was over, the caucus, he went and said, oh, I'm sorry. He called Ben. And Ben didn't accept that apology the way I look at it. Okay, didn't accept the apology. So I don't want to be in a position where it's Saturday evening and I get a phone call from him. You know, I'm really sorry about that. My staff did something. He did 3 or 4 things. For instance, he talks about me being against the Second Amendment. I am the strongest person running in favor of the Second Amendment. I'm a member of the NRA. My sons have been long-term members of the NRA, and they're extraordinary shots. I mean, the whole thing is incredible. So what he does is he'll walk up and he'll say something. He said, I will appoint liberal judges. Donald Trump, I just saw it. Donald Trump is going to appoint liberal judges. I named 2 judges that are, and I named them during the debate. I was the only one that named 2 judges that I would appoint. Those 2 judges, now it could be somebody else, but those 2 judges are highly respected conservative judges. They'd be great judges to appoint. But he just gets up and said, if Donald Trump gets in, he's going to appoint liberal judges. Just the opposite. But the only way you can fight it, and the only way I can fight it, is all the press here. But most people can't fight it. But he's a liar. So he'll go up and he'll absolutely lie. In fact, Henry, who is lieutenant governor, said, I can't believe the things he's saying, because he understands the views on everything, and he just comes out and boom, 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 absolute lies. Now, he'll apologize, but I don't want an apology after the election. I want the apology before. And if he doesn't, I'm going to bring a lawsuit because, in my opinion, based on what I've learned over the last 2-3 days from very top lawyers, he doesn't even have the right to serve as president or even run as president. He was born in Canada. So I will bring that lawsuit if he doesn't apologize. Oh, pretty quick. I do quick. I maybe if I can. I've got to get the papers drawn. But it'll be, don't worry, we have another one coming up. Okay, it'll be pretty quick. Yeah. Oh, John, go ahead.
So Senator Cruz today is attacking your sister.
Can you imagine my sister? By the way, my sister was appointed by Ronald Reagan. Elevated, I believe, in the Clinton administration, but she was originally appointed by Ronald Reagan.
Let me ask you this 2-part question. Are families on or off limits? And is this now a sign that this race has gotten really personal?
Well, I think, first of all, my sister has nothing to do with me. I mean, she's a federal judge at a high level, Court of Appeals, and she was appointed by Ronald Reagan, originally appointed by Ronald Reagan, a highly brilliant woman, known as a great, as a very brilliant judge. I don't even know what her views are, and I don't think she'd want to tell me. I think she's a very, she doesn't I remember one of your cohorts wanted to do a great story about her. I said, listen, they want to do a great story about you. She said, I don't want any stories. She's very much like me in that respect. So I don't know. I said, sure we have the same parents?
So, but are families, again, to ask the question.
I think, frankly, I mean, she's a federal judge, highly respected at every level, by both sides, by everybody. And I don't know that that's, I mean, certainly what he said about her is horrible. They made her sound just terrible. She may have views on certain things. I've never asked her views. I don't want to ask her views. I don't think it's appropriate. She is a very, very solid person and a very great intellect. And she's acknowledged as being so on the court.
But is this now become really personal? It just seems like the tenor of this campaign is now increasingly personal. There's no political.
Well, I think in many respects, but with Cruz more so, because even Jeb won't go and say, like, boom, Donald Trump is like against the Second Amendment or whatever. I mean, he doesn't do that. What Cruz says is incredible. I've never said anything like it. He just I think he actually said it. Donald Trump is against the Second Amendment. I said, what? I did a radio show this morning with a very good host, and I won't mention the name, but you can figure it out. And he said, he said that you were totally in favor of Obamacare. Now, every single speech I've made we have to repeal and replace Obamacare. So the host said, he said this, and I questioned him. He said, no, he really likes Obamacare. Now, how do you fight that? Except that these people can fight it. Now, don't forget, I only have 3 days to fight it. I don't have, like I'll do it over a period of 6 months. So we will bring a lawsuit if he doesn't straighten his act out. He's a lying guy, a really lying guy. Some people misrepresent. This guy's just a plain out liar. In fact, I felt better because Marco Rubio called him a liar the other night on stage. I felt so much better. I said, good, a politician called a politician. Now I can actually call him a liar. Let's go. Go ahead.
Mr. Trump, why are you hosting this presser today in Annex?
This is a different reason. This is for Gitmo. And it's really originally for Gitmo, but you folks haven't asked that question yet because it's ridiculous that they're moving people into this area, and we are totally against it. And if I win, we're moving them out, and they shouldn't be closing Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay. They should not be closing it in any way, shape, or form. And they shouldn't be moving people, hardened criminals, into this area. And I will stop it. And if I don't stop it in terms of time, if I win, they're going back.
So what's your plan exactly for Guantanamo Bay?
I'd keep it open.
Sitting without trial?
Yeah, I'd keep it open. That's right. I'd keep it open. We have to be very vigilant. We'll look at everybody's case, certainly. And you don't want to have people that are innocent of something suffering. But you have some very hardened people. You've let a lot of people go. He's letting them go one after another. And they're going back. Many of them are going back to the battlefields. You've seen what's happened. They're going right back into the battlefields. So we want to keep it open. And that's the way I feel. And I don't want, and here's the thing, I don't want people coming into this area. And I've had such complaints. I've had people from South Carolina calling me, asking me to do this press conference about Guantanamo Bay. And there's not going to be any people coming here. And frankly, I think the governor should take a very strong stand on it.
Well, do you think those people who are being held in Guantanamo Bay without trial, should they get a fair trial? Should they get a military
Eventually, yeah. Eventually they should. Yeah.
Two questions.
I would increase the population.
You mentioned the governor.
As we capture other people that are terrorists and the like, I would absolutely increase, and I would be very strong on it. Yes.
What should Governor Haley do specifically? And then secondly,
Well, a governor has a lot of power that people don't realize. A governor is able, for instance, with the migration, you have people coming into the area of South Carolina. They're coming in. If I were the governor, I wouldn't let them come in. I don't care what the rules and regulations say. In theory, the governor doesn't have anything to do with it. I would have something to do with it, believe me. I would make it so uncomfortable for the federal government that they'd say, okay, let's send them to other states, or let's not take them in, period. We shouldn't be taking people in from the migration. We shouldn't be taking people in from Syria because we don't know who they are. We don't know where they come from. You look at what's going on in Sweden and Germany and all of these other countries. We should not be taking people in from the migration. Now, we should help people with safe zones in Syria. I will get the Gulf states to pay for it because right now they're paying for nothing and they're taking nobody because they're smart. You know what? They're smart. But they'll pay. And we're not going to pay. We'll lead it. But we should build safe zones because you have to do something. But I don't want to take people into this country. You saw what happened in California with two people that got married that were radicalized. and it was a disaster, okay, a disaster. They killed 14 and plenty of people laying right now in the hospital. You look at what's going on throughout the world, we're not going to do it. We have enough problems as a country. You take a look at what's going on in Germany. You take a look at what's going on in Brussels. You take a look at what's going on in Sweden the other night. We're not going to have that.
And your comments a couple minutes ago about President Bush and the World Trade Center, what do you think the president should have done in 2001 to stop the 9/11?
I don't say anything. I'm just saying this. If you look back at your records, you'll see that there was tremendous information, and the CIA and various other agencies were not talking, and they were not getting along, and there were a lot of personality conflicts, and they all hated each other, and we ended up with the World Trade Center, okay? And if you take a look at the book, The America We Deserve, written in the year 2000, I mentioned in that book, I wrote it, I mentioned in that book Osama bin Laden, because I saw him a couple of times, and I read about him, and I said, you know, he's a bad dude. We better do something about him. Now, I wasn't even a politician. I wasn't in politics. I just have always found it very interesting. But I'm saying to myself, we better do something about that guy. So why wouldn't if you did something about him, you wouldn't have had the World Trade Center come down. But if you look back at the CIA and the various other agencies, they were, and I think John is nodding, I don't know if you remember it, but they had tremendous problems getting along together. That's management. Because if they did, they knew what was going, they knew some bad things were going to happen. They could have stopped it. Go ahead.
Was it negligence on the part of President?
I don't say it was anything. I just say the world. I don't say anything. Here's what I say. Here's what I say. Are you ready? The World Trade Center came down during his reign. So that was, it's like he was the top. The World Trade Center came down.
So he's accountable.
Well, the war with Iraq, which started this whole thing. The whole thing starts with the war in Iraq. Saddam Hussein was a bad guy. But one thing about him, he killed terrorists. Now Iraq is Harvard for terrorism. You want to become a terrorist, you go to Iraq. Saddam Hussein understood, and he killed terrorists. Bad guy. But if the president and other people, and frankly, Obama was no better, because the way he got us out was a disaster. Look what's happened since then, a disaster. Shouldn't have been there, shouldn't have gotten out the way we got out. But if the president went to the beach, we would have been better off, believe me.
Mr. Trump, but what about...
Yeah, John, go ahead.
Just ask the question as clearly as possible. Is George W. Bush responsible for what happened on 9/11 or not?
No, I think we could have had greater vigilance, but I would never say anybody was responsible for that.
He's arriving here about an hour from now.
Say hello to him for me. Give him my warmest regards.
So not totally coincidental.
No, look, this is...
This time and place.
Yeah, me? No.
You had
Look.
no idea he was showing up.
Actually, no. When was this set up? I have no idea. This was set up for Guantanamo. No, not really.
Do you think his presence in the state will be helpful? Will help Jeb Bush or hurt Jeb Bush?
I compare it to Bill Clinton. So Bill Clinton came out 4 weeks ago, and his wife made a statement about me having to do with sexism, right? And I made a statement about her and him. And I said once she made that statement, and once he was campaigning, it's a whole different ballgame. Now, if the ex-president is campaigning for his brother, I think he's probably open to great scrutiny, maybe things that haven't been thought of in the past. When Jeb used his name, as I said, in the first debate, in the Reagan debate, I left it alone. But when he kept using it, I said, I have to bring it up. When he talked about the great safety we had, I said, I'm sorry, at some point we have to bring it up. And the other day I brought it up. I said, the World Trade Center came down during your brother's reign.
Do you think there's a chance it will actually hurt Jeb Bush to have his brother here in the state?
I don't know it's going to hurt. I don't think anything can hurt him. I think he's doing so badly. How much worse can he be hurt?
Getting back to your opposition
About the Supreme Court, Mr. Trump, you said on the debate stage, delay.
Delay, yes.
Obviously, a term for a presidency is 4 years long. This is the end of the president's term, 11 months left. In a Trump presidency, when do you draw that cutoff line if there was a vacancy to fill? How far?
I wouldn't draw the line. Hey, look, I don't blame Obama. He's going to try and do it. I don't think he should be successful because Mitch McConnell has a tremendous power in terms of the delay and in terms of, proceeding, et cetera, et cetera. And the time is not that long. It's, 11 months, 10 months. So it's not, no, but it's not that much. I'm not saying that Obama shouldn't do it. I'm just saying the Republicans should not allow it to happen. Now, I also said the Republicans should not have approved the budget they approved 4 weeks ago, and they approved the budget. So you never know. I mean, they've been very disappointing. The Republicans have been very, very disappointing. I always say that Obama is the worst negotiator I've ever seen with everybody but the Republicans.
What does it say about the Republicans, though, if some of these individuals, Srinivasan is a name that's been thrown around. He was, I think, 97-0 was his confirmation as a federal court judge. So if 97-0 is the score, as it were, then, and it changes now in a political year, what does that say about the Republican Party, and does that risk the Senate for Republicans?
I think what's going to happen is he'll put in somebody who's probably a little more moderate than he would have normally done. I still think the Republicans should reject. I think the new president should have that option.
Mr. Trump, getting back to your opposition.
Tom, go ahead.
Mr. Trump, you're somebody who's incredibly proud of your family name, and earlier today you attacked Jeb Bush for coming out with the Jeb logo and yet no Bush name on the campaign logo, and now
I'm not the first. I'm not the first. I said from the beginning. I said from the beginning, Tom.
What does that tell you about Jeb?
Tells me nothing about him, actually. I think that the name Bush would have been better than an exclamation point. He's Jeb Bush. Now, the exclamation point didn't work, so now he's using Bush. But I think he should have used his name. I think it shows that he wasn't proud of the family. I don't know exactly what it tells you. But I always said, in fact, I would tell him, I said, why don't you use the name Bush? You're Bush. Use the name Bush.
And getting back to your opposition to the war in Iraq, can you cite something that you said?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you look at 2000, look. You can play cute. Who are you, by the way?
Jim Acosta at CNN.
Okay. CNN. Let me tell you, Jim, you can play cute. In 2003, excuse me, I'll tell you why it's cute. Because I said many things for a long time, but I wasn't a politician. So I'm not getting publicity if I say about, I said for a long time, don't go into the war, don't go into the war. I think the first time they have me down, you probably have it, is 2003. This is shortly, right after the war started. Somebody actually said it doesn't make any difference because right early on I said it. But I was saying it before then too. But in 2003, right at the beginning, I said it, and very strongly. In 2004, I was in Reuters and quoted all over the place because I was very much opposed to the war. Very simple. I said, you're going to destabilize the Middle East. Right now, you had two powers, Iraq and Iran, that were equal in terms of military strength. If you knock out one of those power, the other one is going to take over the Middle East. That's exactly what happened. Now, I didn't know that we'd be so stupid to make a deal where we give them $150 billion, which we just gave them. But now they have $150 billion, a very wonderful agreement with us in terms of, they went out and they're spending their $150 billion. So far, they haven't spent any of it with us. They bought 118 aircraft from Airbus, which is European. They're spending their money all over Europe. They're buying missiles from Russia. They're spending their money with everybody but the United States. Not good. Not good.
It seemed like, especially in the Florida event, it seemed like you were trying to strike a more optimistic note. You weren't attacking your rivals as much. What's changed between Thursday and the debate?
Well, I'll tell you, I went to the debate and I was attacked. If I wasn't attacked, I thought it was my best debate. Some people agreed. Some people thought I was too tough. I thought it was my best debate. But I was being attacked from everybody. The incoming was unbelievable. I'm looking around, including by the moderator, because they're saying, Donald Trump said this and this about your brother. That's how that whole thing started. That Donald Trump said in ancient times, so-and-so about your brother. That's how that came up. I didn't bring it up. That was brought up by John, as you know. Okay? So I didn't bring it up. So I was being attacked by the moderators from the standpoint that they were feeding. It was like a feeding frenzy on Trump. That's why they got good ratings. They got very good ratings.
South Carolina voters?
I think I'm doing great in South Carolina. I think the South Carolina voters, I know South Carolina very well. I've been here a lot. And I think they have a very sophisticated voter. And they get it. They get it. For instance, when Cruz lies about virtually everything I've done, they get it. I really believe they get it. We'll soon find out.
If you're so confident about this lawsuit against Ted Cruz, why not file it today?
Well, actually, I'm doing a favor by filing, because the Democrats are going to file it anyway, just so you understand. You don't think I get along with everybody, remember? I was a business guy, got along with everybody. The Democrats, if Cruz ever got it, I don't think he's going to get the nomination. I think I'm going to get it. But if Cruz ever got the nomination, the Democrats are going to file the lawsuit. So in a sense, I'm doing him a favor because I'm filing it early. If I file it, I'm filing it early. But I have a very good lawyer, already hired, have a very good lawyer, and a lawyer that truly believes that's right. But remember this. How do you give a man the nomination for your major party, one of the two major parties, And the man has a cloud over his head. And I told him, get a declaratory judgment. You've got to do something because the Democrats are going to file. To the best of my knowledge, there already are 2 lawsuits out there.
But is this the proper way to use the courts as a threat?
No,
as part
no,
of sort of
no.
ultimatum?
Look, eventually it's going to be used anyway. They're going to sue him. If he got the nomination, they're not going to sue now because they don't think he's going to get the nomination. But if he got the nomination, he's going to be sued. So frankly, if I were him, I'd probably tell him, if I was advising him, other than I'm more moral than he is, in my opinion, I would probably tell him very nicely, keep your lies going. You're going to get sued. You're going to get sued anyway. Might as well keep your lies going. But let's see what happens. I don't know. I think it's a good lawsuit.
Mr. Trump, are you concerned at all that your attacks on George W. Bush, he's a very popular figure in the state of South Carolina, and a lot
So
of
am
people
I.
here may think that, he kept the country safe after 9/11. Are you worried that
What does that mean, he kept the country safe after 9/11? In other words, we had this major catastrophe, and after that, what does that mean? I don't know. See, I've heard that for years. You know what? I've heard that for years, Jeremy. I've heard for years he kept the country safe after 9. What does that mean, after? What about during 9/11? I was there. I lost a lot of friends that were killed in that building. The worst attack ever in this country? It was during his presidency. You mean we had the worst attack ever? By the way, after that, we did okay. That's meaning the team scored 19 runs in the first inning, but after that, we played well. I don't think so.
What are the stakes here Saturday for you in your campaign? You've often talked about running the table.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think we're doing well. I've been around. We have a tremendous rally tonight. I'm here for the entire week, and
Is that because you're nervous about where things are?
You mean the fact that I'm here?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Saying that you're not going to have to worry about all the raids being made by migrants coming in. You also talked about a 500-person charge.
Well, no, you have a situation here where people from Syria are being settled in South Carolina, and I think it's disgraceful. And if I were Nikki Haley, I would not allow it to happen. I'll tell you right now. I would not allow it to happen. And she'll say we have no choice. A governor has choice, believe me.
What are the raids and the 500-person charge? What is that actually referring to, the 500-person charge you mentioned? When you were
500% charge.
at the last event.
I don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
We've talked about the intensity and the ferocity of this campaign really ramping up right now. You talked about all the attacks being subject to them. You're making a lot of them. Do you feel
Well, I'm responding. In all fairness, John, I'm responding to
Do you
him.
feel there's increased pressure right now? And how are you dealing
On me?
Yeah, how do you deal with the pressure?
I think I deal with pressure well. I mean, I've won many club championships. You have to deal with pressure. I deal with pressure. That's what I do. My whole life has been pressure, and I like pressure. I really do like pressure. But I don't think Cruz deals well with pressure. I think he's a basket case. He thought he was going to win New Hampshire, and he lost. Not only did he lose, he lost big league. I think that Cruz does not handle pressure well. I don't think that Rubio handles pressure well. You saw that in his run-in with Christie. I was standing next to Rubio, and I thought he just got out of a swimming pool. He was soaking wet. So I don't think he handles pressure well. I just don't see him negotiate. Look, I don't see that personality negotiating with Putin like this personality, okay? You want to make a good deal for the country, you want to deal with Russia, and there's nothing wrong with not fighting everybody, having Russia where we have a good relationship as opposed to all the stupidity that's taken place. But I'm going to make the great trade deals. I'm going to make the great deals. These guys aren't going to make. They're politicians.
People said the South Carolina period is a real pressure cooker. You say what?
I think everything's a pressure cooker. You have to handle pressure. That's what I like doing. I love the pressure. But you can't lie. You can't allow lies to take place, like where Cruz is saying with guns, with abortion, with this, with virtually everything. It's just a lie. And somebody has to come and somebody has to say it. I find the whole South Carolina thing so interesting. I find the people, we've already had a couple of events today. I find the people amazing. They're amazing. The one thing that's really interesting, they're very knowledgeable politically in South Carolina. And I think that's a good thing for me because they understand politicians. They understand that they're all talk, no action. They're not going to make deals. Look, I'm the only politician that's not getting money. All these guys like Cruz is getting tremendous amounts of money from oil and all these different. Jeb Bush, Woody Johnson from Johnson & Johnson is his campaign, finance chairman. Woody will totally control what happens. You think the drug industry is going to be hurt by Jeb Bush when Woody Johnson is the head of his committee raising funds for him? The drug companies, basically, there's no bidding. If we bid out, you know, they're the largest, we are the largest purchaser of drugs in the world, to make you better. We're the largest in the world. The drug companies, there's no bidding. You know why there's no bidding? Because the politicians all take money from the drug companies. Campaign contributions. Probably money too, but that I don't know about. You guys can figure that out. But they take money from the drug companies. And same with the military companies, same with the lumber companies, same with everything. Me, I'm not taking any money. I'll do what's right. I'll do what's right for the people. And I think it has an impact. I'm not sure if it's as big as it should be, because I will have spent a lot of money by the time it's over. So I don't know if I get, you know, if it's as, I don't know if that point, John, is being made as importantly. I don't know if it's that important. Does somebody go into the booth and say, I love Trump because he's not taking money from any of the special interests or the lobbyists? I don't know. But we'll soon find out.
And what about with the RNC? In South Carolina, you talked a lot about Ted Cruz's campaign tactics. In South Carolina, in the past, one of the key protections voters had was
Key what?
about Cruz's campaign tactics. In South Carolina, until 2013, voters had the protections of Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Do you favor restoring that legislation?
Well, we're going to see about it. I'm going to look at a whole lot of things, because what I see so far is unbelievable. That somebody can go and do what they're doing and make statements like that. And I learned a lot from Iowa. Don't forget, I've been doing this since June 16th. I learned so much from Iowa when somebody can be so dishonest. When I saw, and I know you people covered the Ben Carson thing, but to me, what was worse was the voter violation form. This thing looked like it was made, came right out of the IRS. The paper, the look, it looked like a government document. It said voter violation, you are in violation. So anyway, so I'll be looking. Yeah, go ahead.
You said earlier today that the RNC has run.
Very good reporter. By the way, very good reporter, this guy. Go ahead.
The RNC has run default on your pledge with them. Can you explain and elaborate on that?
Well, they default. I mean, look, I'm very disappointed in the RNC, Republican National Committee, right? I'm very disappointed in the RNC because for 3 debates now, the room has been stacked with special and that shouldn't be. And they have total control over the people I'm running against. Total, absolute control. And I bring up the drug thing because the drug companies are going to go to competitive bid. Whether we save $100 billion a year or $350 billion a year, they're going to competitive bid. These people can't say that because the drug companies give them a fortune to run for office. Okay. Tom?
You've come across a lot of politicians in New York, New Jersey, Las Vegas.
Too many.
Is Senator Ted Cruz really the dirtiest politician you've ever
Well,
come
he's
across?
not the dirtiest. He's the biggest liar. I've seen some that are much more cunning because you wouldn't catch him. I mean, this guy lies, but he got caught every time. He got caught with Carson. The good ones are the ones that can do it and not get caught. If Ted Cruz did it and didn't get caught, he got caught with voter violation. He got caught with stuff in New Hampshire. We caught him here with robocalls. He's making robocalls. They're doing a poll, and they're saying, Donald Trump is a horrible human being, blah, 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 blah. Would you vote for him? And Ted Cruz is wonderful. What about Ted Cruz? What they're doing is, it's, you know what it is, push polls. And we caught him. So the really good ones are the ones that don't get caught. He's got caught every time he did anything, he got caught. But if you catch him and don't do anything about him, then it's your fault. Okay? For the what? Very simple. Great borders. We're going to build the wall. By the way, Mexico's going to pay for the wall. That's a very interesting thing because these people come off the stage. They say, Mexico's not going to pay for the wall. My competitors. I say, of course they are. We lose so much money with Mexico in terms of deficit. We have a deficit with Mexico that's so massive. They're going to pay for the wall. The wall is peanuts. Trust me, they're going to pay for the wall. But we're going to have a strong military. We're going to take care of our vets. So important. We're going to end Obamacare. It's going to be terminated. We're going to come up with something very good, whether it's, I mean, look, there's so many different plans. Now, part of the problem with the plans are the insurance companies dictated the plans to Obama. Insurance companies are making a fortune, some of them, with Obamacare. We're going to come up with a savings. You know, you can do the healthcare savings plan. We're going to get rid of the boundaries around the states where it makes it totally non-competitive. It's totally non-competitive. So we're getting rid of Obamacare. We're repealing and replacing Obamacare. Common Core is absolutely going to, it's dead. It's the worst. We're number 30 in the world in education. You have Norway, Sweden, China, Denmark. You have these countries. We're number 30. We spend more per pupil. So Common Core is dead. We're getting rid of Common Core. We're going to protect our Second Amendment. When I say dead, we're bringing education locally. We're going to protect our Second Amendment, and et cetera. Okay? Well, what we're doing right here today, yeah, for Guantanamo Bay, we're not going to let people come here from Guantanamo Bay. I can tell you, you're talking about the local. We are not letting people come to this area from Guantanamo Bay. They're going to stay where they are right now. They're not coming to the country, let alone to this area, but they're not coming to this area. And if they do come to this area before election time, before we take office, and I take office, they're going back. And you can tell that to the local people, okay? You can bank on it.
Mr. Trump, if you win here in South Carolina,
winning South Carolina would be a great thing. I agree.
I've got to ask you, sir, what is your plan if you are the leader of the Republican Party to bring all the people you're talking about, the RNC donors, together behind you? How are you going to do that?
I will tell you that I have received so many calls from people that you all know about and you write about and speak viciously about me where they want to come on board, okay? They're politicians. They change so easy. But I've received so many calls. I mean, you can speak to Corey, and we're not going to give you names anyway, but Corey, is that a correct statement, to put it mildly? I have received so many calls of people, the most unsuspecting people. John Heilman would say, there's no way that guy called. They call. People that you would not believe. It's all going to come together. I'm a unifier. People are not going to understand that. I'm a unifier. Obama is not a unifier, by the way. I'm a unifier.
Do you expect your lead to hold here come Saturday?
I hope so. You know, look, we're doing the best. I'm here. We're working hard. We have a great relationship with the people of South Carolina. I hope it holds. You know, I can't tell you what's going to happen when a guy lies. I mean, when a guy lies about your record, that's why you have to get the truth out. But I think we should hold. I hope we're going to hold. I hope we're going to be successful. My whole theme is Make America Great Again. South Carolina's going to have a big part in that because South Carolina, I mean, you know, this could be the start and maybe running the table. I say run the table. I think if we win South Carolina, we could conceivably run the table. We're going to do very well.
And if you win big here, should some of your other rivals think about getting out of the race after South Carolina if you win big here?
Oh, sure. I think they will anyway. I mean, I think you'll have certain people get out of the race, yeah.
Mr. Trump, do you think George W. Bush should stay out of this fray?
I think it would be better for him if he stayed out.
Will you be watching tonight?
No. I think I'm giving a rally.
Mr. Trump, one of the things that's
I'll see what happened, obviously. I'll see what happened. But I don't believe I'll be able to because I think I'm giving a rally at that time. Am I? Yes. I'm giving a rally at that time. Weak, period.
There are over 100,000 young people known as dreamers
Yeah.
who have deferred action given under the Obama
Sure. I think it's great.
What should they expect?
You know what I want? I want dreamers to come from this country. Okay? You mentioned dreamers. Wait. You mentioned dreamers? I want dreamers to come from the United States. I want the people in the United States that have children. I want them to have dreams also. We're always talking about dreamers for other people. I want the children that are growing up in the United States to be dreamers also. They're not dreaming right now. And you look at African-American youth, I mean, 58% unemployment. You look at African-Americans in their 30 years old and they're 40 years old, and we have an African-American president. And he has not done anything for the African-Americans in this country, okay? And he got a free pass, and he shouldn't have. Because if that were me or if that was somebody else, we would be taken over the coals, believe me. It would not be a good situation. President Obama has done nothing for the African Americans. You look at African American youth, you look at African Americans that are 30 years old, 40 years old, and 50 in their prime, the prime, and take a look at their statistics. It's very sad. Okay, how about one or two more questions? Yes, sir, go ahead.
Deferred action, Mr. Trump?
What?
Revoke their deferred action?
I'll look at it. Go ahead.
And I wanted to ask
Excuse me, that's enough.
Can I ask you about Cuba?
About Cuba.
Yeah. There are many Republicans who oppose lifting of the embargo against Cuba. If there was a Trump presidency, what would the relationship?
I think after 50 years, it's time, but we have to make a much better deal than we're making. We make bad deals. It's like the Keystone Pipeline. I'm totally in favor of it. But I have to it's going to make a fortune, the Keystone Pipeline. And by the way, we're using eminent domain. And if you noticed, an article came out today that Bush used private eminent domain in Florida, knocked out a veteran, disabled veteran. These little things come out. You know, he was talking about private eminent domain, how horrible, but came out 2 major stories about him using private. I mean, he just doesn't understand that, things like that. But the Keystone Pipeline, I will do the Keystone Pipeline, but I will make a deal for this country where we get a chunk of it, because through eminent domain, we make the Keystone Pipeline and other things possible. They're going to make tremendous amounts of money with the Keystone Pipeline. A lot of the money that they make is going to come back to the people of this country. You understand what I mean? John?
You've expressed a lot of confidence about the thing in South Carolina for this election coming up, right? What's your biggest worry? What's your biggest fear?
Lies. My only worry about South Carolina is that my opponents lie, especially Cruz. I mean, Cruz, as I said, he's the single worst liar I've ever seen. If people believe the lies, then, we won't make America great again, because nobody else is going to be able to do it but me. Believe me, I know my competition. They're all bought and paid for by the special interests. They're not going to negotiate with the lumber companies, the drug companies, the oil and gas companies, any of them. They're not going to make good trade deals, because trade deals are made by the lobbyists and the special interests. Me, I'm going to have the greatest trade deals ever made. We're going to become rich again, and we're going to become great again. But I know my opponents. So the thing that I would say, if I had a doubt, is when a guy is allowed to lie, like Ted Cruz, where you can just say, take an issue, boom, just make it the opposite, boom, make it the opposite, with no fact at all. And I know I'll get apologized. On Sunday I'll get a phone call. Listen, I just want to say I didn't realize. Okay, like Carson did. Ben Carson got a call 2 hours after the election. He got a call. Frankly, in Iowa, they should overturn the election based on what Cruz did. I mean, honestly, because he was so dishonest. Between the voter violation and that, they should actually overturn. If they had a strong leader in Iowa in terms of the Republican Party, Jeff is a good guy, but perhaps he's not strong. I don't know. But what Cruz did is a fraud. What they should do is overturn that election, but that's it. Okay, one more question. Go ahead. How about you in the back? Okay. No, he wouldn't be on my short list. He wouldn't really be. Okay, good luck, everybody. Thank you. Yeah?
Well, the grievances you talked about today with the RNC, does it reopen the question in your mind of a third party?
Well, the RNC is in default. Okay? The RNC, just so you understand, the RNC is in default. Yeah, I understand. When somebody's in default, that means the other side can do what they have to do. Okay? The RNC is in default. The RNC gave all the tickets to special interests that represented Cruz and Rubio. They had all the tickets. They walked on stage. The place went crazy. Sort of interesting. One guy's got very low in the polls. The other one's pretty low in the polls. I'm very high. There was nobody in the room. I had my wife and my kids. Okay? Because I don't have donors. I mean, I don't have donors and I don't have special interests. I don't have any of that. So, but I think the RNC did a very poor job. Now, we've warned them twice, because this happened twice before. So we've warned them, and they don't listen. I think the RNC is controlled. The bottom line is the RNC is controlled by the establishment. And the RNC is controlled by the special interests and the donors. And that's too bad, because that's not good for and that's why the Republican Party for president has lost so much for so long. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.